बुक है वो वहाँ लगी हुई है। असुरा, रोल ऑफ द डायस एंड अजय, राइज ऑफ काली, बेस दीज टू बुक्स ऑन द एपिक महाभारत। और इसके अलावा हिज फिफ्थ बुक वानरा, ये भी यहीं है। आप में से जो लोग देखना चाहें वो देख सकते हैं। द लीजेंड ऑफ बाली, सुग्रीवा एंड तारा, इनकी एक बुक जो असुरा है, यह है मोर देन 500,000 कॉपीज़ इसकी छपने के बाद बिक चुकी हैं। इनकी 3 किताबें शॉर्ट लिस्ट हुई हैं क्रॉसवर्ड अवार्ड के लिए। इनकी बुक जो है वानर, द लीजेंड ऑफ बाली, सुग्रीव एंड तारा, ये बेस्ट सेलर बुक है। इनका मलयालम वर्क जो है पेन रामायणम, यह भी पब्लिश हो चुका है। इसके अलावा आपने जैसा मुझे बताया कि बाहुबली जो बहुत फेमस मूवी है उसके स्टोरी आपने लिखी है। मैं आपसे बस ये रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा समय का ध्यान रखते हुए कि आप हमें इस तरीके से रामायण महाभारत के जितने भी हम कैरेक्टर्स की बात करते हैं, क्योंकि हमारा टॉपिक उससे जुड़ा है, आपने बहुत काम भी किया है। आपकी बुक्स ये बताती हैं कि आप उस पक्ष के बारे में भी बताते हैं जिस पक्ष को ज़्यादातर हम सोच नहीं पाते। उनका क्या वर्जन है, जस्ट फ्लिपिंग द टेबल, दूसरी साइड में बैठा हुआ आदमी क्या सोचता है, वो आपने अपनी बात रखी है। मैं चाहूँगा कि आप उस एंगल से भी बताएं और आपके अनुभव से रामायण महाभारत के हमारे इस टॉपिक पर। आभार।
Thank you.
Donc merci à Acharya Balkrishna qui a partagé avec nous son expertise sur le Mahabharata et le Ramayana et a aussi de façon très pertinente pointé l'importance de la fierté en rappelant à quel point ici en France les gens sont fiers de leur culture, de leur tradition, de leur langue, de leur histoire et à quel point c'est une force pour eux. Nous avançons maintenant et passons au prochain conférencier, Anand Nilakantan, qui est auteur, qui est chroniqueur, qui est également conférencier et qui a écrit des livres, tous présents ici, qui se sont vendus à plus d'1 demi-million de copies et ont reçu de nombreuses récompenses, ont également donné lieu à un film. On va lui donner la parole maintenant sur une perspective tout à fait intéressante, puisque lui, dans ses œuvres, donne la parole à l'autre camp, celui qui n'est jamais entendu, puisque dans sa version à lui, c'est le camp des Kauravas qui a la parole.
Thank you. It is such an honor to represent my great country and to be in one of the most beautiful, perhaps the most beautiful city in the world, Paris. This is the place of Victor Hugo. This is a place of great many thinkers. So it's such a great pleasure being here to talk about a culture which is perhaps the cradle of human civilization. One of the eminent historians had spoken. He was talking about dates. He was talking about when these epics were written. And Acharya Ji was talking from a religious perspective. Respecting all those, I am a storyteller and I have to talk in the way the stories are told. As far as I am concerned, I represent a storytelling tradition which is older than written words. Ramayana, Mahabharata, the Vedas, the Tamil epics, all these things were first propagated for thousands of years orally. So even if it was written in 500 BC or 900 BC, this would have originated much longer. Second thing is that these stories have undergone changes in every era, in every culture. And it has influenced not just India, but Pan-Asia, and later from 17th century onwards to Europe also, the European thoughts also. Every place, whether it is Thailand, whether it is Indonesia, whether it is in the greater India, where the Indian civilization's influence was there in the medieval era, the Ramayana and Mahabharata have been told, but they have been told in its own fashion with lots of variation. To look at which is authentic, as a storyteller, I will never attempt that. Because every story is authentic. Every viewpoint is authentic. And I will tell you why also. When we try to go into the authenticity and historicity of something, you are doing a post-mortem. It is already dead. What is alive will keep evolving. So when you talk about on so-and-so date, this happened. We know so much of history, right? But Indians were never bothered about history because history is irrelevant. The future is irrelevant, the past is irrelevant. India always talked about the present moment. That is why these were all cyclical in nature. The time itself, the concept itself was cyclical. Where this comes from the Abrahamic religions, the concept of finite time, and it has its own advantage of having a logical view, but it perhaps sometimes doesn't touch the heart. Why? Because once you go to this, there is a beginning of the world, there is an end of the world. We talk about duality in the Abrahamic culture, where God is there, a Satan is there, opposite to that. The heaven is there, a hell is there. There is a final judgment day. That's a view of life. But in the Indian system, whether it is Hinduism, Buddhism, or any other religion, there is no end, there is no beginning. The world goes on and on and on. So in Ramayana itself, one of the famous quotation which I love the most, one or two stories are there. I'll just tell that to prove the point. Sita, in the story, if you are familiar with the story, Sita has to go with Ram. She says, I want to go with Ram, and he has been exiled. Ram says, you need not come, I have been exiled. You need not come with me. You are my wife, you stay here. Sita gives lots of arguments, and Ram keeps cutting all those arguments, saying that, counter-arguments saying that why you shouldn't come. Then Sita gives the clincher argument. In every Ramayana which happened before, Sita has gone with Ram. So why not in this Ramayana? This, Ram doesn't have any reply. And that is how Ram takes Sita with her. Again, in one of the Ramayanas, there are multiple Ramayanas. In one of the Ramayanas, Ram is considered as an avatar of Vishnu. He has to go back to the heaven, to Vaikuntha. But as long as Hanuman is there, Hanuman, the god of death cannot enter. So the Hanuman has to be sent away, so that the god of death can enter and Ram can finish his dharma or his duty, his avatar, the duty of his avatar, and go back. So Ram takes his, he has a ring in his hand, he takes it and puts it on the floor, and there's a crack, through that it goes to the nether world. I'm talking about story, I'm not talking about history, I'm not talking about philosophy. The way Ramayana and Mahabharata were told, they use story to tell history, story to tell philosophy, so I am doing the same thing. Hanuman goes to the nether world, the Patala, and there the king of Patal, Mahabali, is there. The king of Asuras, he is there. He asks, why have you come? So Hanuman says, my lord has lost his ring, it has gone into this nether world, I have come to reclaim it. Then Mahabali says, look there, it should be there. And when Hanuman turns and looks there is a hill, a mountain of rings. And Hanuman asks, what is this? From this, how will I take this ring of Ram? Then the king of the netherworld says, these are all that of Ram, of different yugas and different eras. The world you see now, the universe you see now, it has come before, it had ended before, it will come again. And as you are talking here, in multiverses, in various other universes, Ramayana is still happening. Somewhere it has begun, somewhere it will come one day, somewhere again and again it will happen. As we are talking, different Ramayanas are happening everywhere. This is how it has been told in Ramayana and Mahabharata. This is the tradition which the oral storytellers have been taking all across the country in different languages. So when we talk about what is the contribution of India to the world, we can tell 100 things. We can talk about zero, we can talk about scientific achievements, we can talk about the heights of the philosophical thoughts which inspired Voltaire in about the Upanishads and other things. But if you ask me as a storyteller, it is a storytelling tradition which is the greatest contribution of India. This storytelling tradition of the eternal time, the eternity of the world, the importance of the present moment, which it is something which made the world a better place. Because we know that nothing ends, though there is no concept of a revenge, there is no concept of looking back at the history and talking about violence. Whether it is Ramayana or Mahabharata, especially Mahabharata, is perhaps the world's greatest anti-war book. It is a war. It is not a story which later the religion made it to be. The religion itself underwent a change. It is not a story which religion made it to be as if it is the victory of good over evil. That's a very fairy tale concept. It's a Disney World concept, if you ask me, Disney stories concept. What is good, what is evil also keeps changing as per the time. Mahabharata as such is a story of anti-war story, and that is why perhaps Vyasa had put it, the name as Jaya, the victory in a war which nobody won. Nobody was finally left. So in Indian tradition, there is, if a story gives two answers, then that story is not complete. The story has to give rise to question. Everything is questioned. That is what the rishis are told. The rishis keep questioning everything. The Upanishads are like in the form of a questioning. The Gita itself is in the form of a questioning. So when we try to tell stories for giving concrete answers, it becomes commandments. And it doesn't become a story, it doesn't become life. Life doesn't offer any answers. Life, the questions sprout, and we try to answer it, and that is how the civilization progresses, the science progresses, and that is how the humanity progresses. That is the contribution of India, and that is what these great epics have done. So there is nothing these epics have not touched upon in India. The music, the entire Indian musical system, whether it is Carnatic, whether it is Hindustani or the folk music, it is inspired from Ramayana and Mahabharata. 90% of the tale, the music, the kirtanas are based on the stories on this. The temple architecture, the painting, the textile design, the names of the people, the proverbs, everything, there is nothing which hasn't, the epic hasn't touched. So as storytellers, what we are doing, we are reinterpreting it like how the storytellers, the ancestors of us used to do. They kept reinterpreting this, and they kept rewriting it as per the times and as per the forms. It came in drama. Now we are doing it in films, in OTT platforms, in television. We keep providing it. We try to give answers and raise newer questions as per the requirement of today's society and today's people. So it is irrelevant whether Lord Ram actually lived, on which era he lived, whether he lived or died. Even Gandhiji was asked this question, and Gandhiji answered this, that that is an irrelevant question because Ram always lives inside me. The Ram is the name of the truth that lives inside me. You call it Ram, you call it Ravan, you call it Jesus, you call it Allah, it doesn't matter. If that is Indian civilization. It is never a nation bound. Indians never talked about a country. Indians never talked about a boundary, a people. It was all about the entire humanity. It was not just about humanity, it was about the entire life of all forms. Right from the worm, from the bacteria to the whale, for all life forms. And not just life forms, all including the inanimate objects, and not just inanimate objects, including the universe, and not just the universe, the entire multiverse and the continuous times. So let us not restrict it to one geographical border, one religion, one culture. This is the greatest contribution of India is about the wholesome view of the life itself. Thank you.
थैंक यू सो मच, थैंक यू सो मच। आपने बहुत ही एक नया विज़न दिया है और आपने एक जो डायनामिक नैरेटिव रामायण और महाभारत के लिए बताया है, और जो आपका काम है वो आपकी बात से दिखता भी है। आज के हमारे तीनों पैनलिस्ट, आप लोगों ने रामायण महाभारत जो हमारा टॉपिक था उसके कैरेक्टर, उसकी हिस्ट्री, हिस्टोरिकल सिग्निफिकेंस, कंटेम्प्रेरी रेलेवेंस, इन सब पे आपने बात रखी। और मुझे लगता है जिसने भी सुना होगा ये बहुत ही फ्रूटफुल सेशन रहा होगा, एक आई ओपनर रहा होगा, नई चीज़ें सामने आई हैं। मैं एनबीटी और एनबीटी की पूरी टीम को भी बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ कि आपने विशेषकर ये टॉपिक लिया जिस पे हम अपनी बात रख पाएँ। एक बार आप सभी को थैंक यू सो मच एंड थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू सो मच मैम।
Yes, ready please. 1, 2, 3. One more. LC Renasar, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much.